All right, we are going to start sketching some type of motorcycle or motobicicleta or however you might say it. And I don't really know what I'm going to do, so I'm starting off with the C0. And I'm using the chisel point. I'm just going to block things in a little bit and basically just search for something interesting. And then because it's light enough, we'll be able to go back over it with the C1 and then a C2, C4, C6. And that's how we're going to do this. We're going to just explore a little bit. In my mind, I've got the idea that it's going to be an electric city bike. What that means specifically, TBD. We want it to be fun, we want it to be cool looking. We know we're going to have a battery that's kind of in this space here, right? So we're just going to block that in, just a little rectangle in perspective. And we know we're going to have some type of connection to the drive or some kind of drive mechanism, right? Whether it's an electric motor, big old electric motor just kind of sitting out here that is attached via some type of a swing arm. Back here, again, we're just messing around, just looking for, basically just looking for shapes. I know we're gonna need some kind of it's gonna be a chain drive, so let's go chain drive setup. And thinking this is like an urban adventure, so we might want to, let's drop the ground line a little bit. Maybe make the ground line down here and just kind of extend those tires. And we can adjust all this when we get into a little bit darker value. That's going to be more of what we call the final sketch. So this is kind of a process that's like doing an overlay or an underlay overlay without doing an actual underlay. If you don't know what an underlay is, usually, oftentimes people do like a quick and dirty sketch and then they'll put another piece of paper over that and basically trace over it and make corrections and stuff. This is kind of like that, except we're doing all of that in one sketch. So maybe it's a little bit more efficient, but the end product is typically a little bit messier because you've got a lot of your working marks and that type of thing. But it's also got some character. 1, 2. So let's get these bars up a little bit higher. I'm just kind of measuring, standard bike. If we got, this is 1 wheel height. There's 2. On average, you'll see motorcycles that are roughly 1 3/4, 2 wheels high to the bars. Or sometimes the fairing ends about 2 wheels high. This isn't going to have any kind of crazy fairing, but so we'll just make it 2 wheels high to keep somewhat of a realistic proportion. And I'm gonna set these bars, just kind of a typical bar. See what the mechanicals are doing here. We're going to have top of your triple clamp here, maybe your lower triple clamp here. Might be a little too low. And then we'll have some kind of lighting mechanism. Maybe the mechanism for the light sits a little bit higher. It's going to come out straight like that. Maybe it's a circular headlight, or we'll pick some kind of fun shape. Let's see what the rest of the bike wants to be first. So, all right, so you got your bars here. I'm gonna drop our center line. We kind of want to sit inside the bike a little bit. So there's going to be a tank section And maybe this tank is more of a cylinder. Maybe it's some kind of storage. It's electric, so you don't really need it to, you need it to support your body a little bit, but I'm getting a note from my girlfriend here that's saying, don't sound annoying. So I'm wondering, oh, apparently I sound annoyed, so I'm gonna stop sounding annoyed. And I'm gonna start talking like this. I'm gonna whisper as I'm sketching. So if you were listening to this moment, sorry, I was sounding annoyed. If you were picking up on that, maybe I was annoyed, who knows? But I'm not anymore. So now I'm just kind of fleshing out this seat. Single seat, well, this kicks up like that. Get a flat surface on the back so you could put pizza boxes on the back. Or, ooh, this is pizza delivery. Okay. So you got a big old pizza box hanging off the back, but this is gonna be a speed pizza. Speed pizza. What does that mean? It means it's gonna be a pizza box that has a little bit of speed to it. But give the pizza box maybe a little bit of shape. You ever seen these folks? I don't know wherever you are, I don't know how they're delivering food, but I've seen a bunch of guys around here, Postmates, guys and gals, and they are delivering Postmates on like FZ07s, and sometimes they're on scooters and MT09s and like full adventure bikes sometimes, delivering these pizzas, and they've got these massive boxes kind of hanging off the back. So, I mean, if we know people are doing it, let's just give them, maybe you could stack these up like too high. I have to figure that out, because then you get this little surface here, so your pizzas are going to start to like fall off the back or just slide down. Then by the time you deliver your pizza, it's going to be a hot, cheesy mess. So maybe that's not what we'll do. Maybe we won't stack it too high. Okay. What else do we need? Maybe we're going to want, well, you're gonna need foot controls, you're gonna need levers here. It's kind of mid-mounted, not super aggressive. And then what's this surface gonna do over here? I don't know. Do we want to be able to see the battery or not? Just kind of carving out some sections here. Again, this is all, we're just using the chisel here, blocking things in. Again, just exploring, looking for what this bike wants to be. And as we move along, so this section here, like the core of the bike right now is kind of undefined, but we know, so if this is a tank section and it's kind of rounded off, which is definitely weird, almost like a Confederate motorcycle. If you've ever seen those, they have that large cylinder section on, I don't know what model it is, but I mean, it's kind of interesting. It's a little different. And this is, well, this whole frame is going to be a single part. This is a weird frame shape for sure. And then that motor is going to be tucked in there. You want to be able to get that out fairly easily if need be, or I'll say if and when it need be. It was kind of crazy. When I first moved out to LA, from New York, people were, in New York, you put 20,000 miles on a bike, and that's a lot of miles. Out here, people are riding their street bikes 60, 70, 100,000 miles, like a car. So making this engine, or this motor, easy enough to take out replace when, you know, some cowboys out here with 150,000 miles on their electric scooter that they're post-mating with. Is that a word? Post-mating? What do you call it when you're delivering Postmates? I don't know. Either way. But if you did wreck this chassis might be kind of expensive to repair because it's a little bit odd, kind of exposed. But maybe we'll put a little crash guard under here. Yeah, crash guard to protect the bottom of that if you do lay this thing down. So I think I've got, let's see, we still need a front fairing and a light. What do we think? A round headlight? We're gonna go more of a pseudo triangle. Here we go. Kind of a triangle, and it's gonna mount right to your top clamp, and then you're gonna have some kind of a front fairing. If you're coming down the highway or down wherever you are, if it's windy, you're gonna want a little bit of wind buffeting. That's one thing I've realized if I'm riding an MT-09, or at the moment had an FZ07 before that, and I had a few street bikes or sport bikes prior to the FZ07, and I never realized how much wind protection those fairings provide. The MT-09s, those kind of hyper naked bikes, you're just eating the wind. It's almost like a forearm workout just riding on the highway, just sitting there. So having some kind of a front fairing would be nice on this, especially if you are, again, this has just become the Postmates delivery bike. If that's what you're doing, if you're riding on the highway, across the city, whatever it may be, you'd like to reduce the amount of physical strain that you might run into if you had to hold on tight if it was a windy day or whatever and you had no front fairing. So let's think about that person and what they might need. And here we go. And then I think we've got the majority of this bike kind of fleshed out. I think if we'll probably do another sketch. This might be a cool one to just build out and maybe make a model of or something. We'll do a few sketches on this, maybe not today, but in the next couple weeks, and explore what this might be, because I think it could be cool if we got really specific around just designing this for that specific use case, the Postmates delivery person. And then this is just going to be like some kind of a floating rear cover. Okay, somehow that wants to attach, but I don't know what that is right now. Okay, so that is the C1, or that's the C0. Let's come in here with a C2 and start blocking things out a little bit. Can't really tell what everything is yet, but you know, we've got the general makings of a motorcycle. Okay. Got the wheel here. This is a pretty beefy front wheel. Front tire and wheel, rather. Which, you know, it's cool for now. For the sketch, anyway. Gives it a nice look. Makes it feel a bit more substantial. Again, just kind of, these are, I know that these are cylinders, so I'm just mocking up or laying in where the core of those cylinders might be. I know that the underside of this light is going to be in shadow. So again, just starting to flesh out want this tank in here to roll in, right? Because you need some space to turn the handlebars. A lot of people are just drawing their tanks right up on the forks, but then you don't have any lockout, depending on how wide your tank is. So we want to consider that anyway. Okay, there's that. This is all going to be seat. We want it to be nice and thick, so that whoever's riding this thing all day, it's comfy on the tush. Yes, I did say tush. Okay. That's how it goes. And then we got the pizza box. Boom. Whatever's going on in this undertail. Okay, it's kind of in shadow. And then I feel like this chassis wants some extra detail. Like, it just doesn't feel super interesting. It's almost just like a piece of bent aluminum or something like that. So I don't know how we can add some muscle to this. I mean, we've got a little bit of a design line there. A neighbor just turned on their TV, so if you hear their video game, I think it's playing Call of Duty. You know, it's part of apartment life. You can't always control who you live next to. You just have to deal with them. Or move. Or go talk to them and tell them that they're annoying. You know, so I guess you do have a couple options. I think I've already exhausted the first or the latter. Or how many times do you need to tell somebody the same thing before you finally just get on with it, you know? Maybe you don't know. That was a real question. Does that make sense or not? Or do you just need to be persistent? Like when you're trying to learn how to draw. I guess persistence pays, so that's what we'll go with. Persistence pays. All right, got that. Got this wheel. Okay, so I think we have a general sense of what this motorcycle wants to be. Let's come in here with this. What do I have? Got this deluxe. This is a Uniball Deluxe Micro. It's a gel pen, and I'm using this because it doesn't bleed when you go over it with marker, and it dries pretty quickly, which is nice. Not all of these pens dry quite as quickly, and then they'll bleed. Like if you use a Bic or something like that, they tend to bleed pretty easily, or pretty reliably anyway. They're not water resistant. And so let's get this. So I don't know where everything is. Like, I don't know where all the details are, so some of this is a little bit guesswork. I might have just misplaced that. I think I did just misplace that fork. Oh well, we're gonna rock out, see how wonky this looks. So, lesson here. If you can get more specific with your underwork or your base line work, the easier it is to follow and makes for a cleaner product in the end. Okay, so we've got, how is this going to attach? Maybe there's a bolt here. There's another one here. Let's see what's going to add some interest to that. And then this is going to kick out and down. You know, we're just kind of making this up as we go here. That's how we do it. Okay, got. And with this pen, I'm just working from the front to the back. I mean, I've got most of the underwork already blocked in, so it's not like... I wanted to step back every once in a while, though, just to check to make sure that the lines that I'm putting together based on the marker are making sense as I see them here in this more high contrast manner. Let's see, here we go. So this wants to be, and we're gonna have your gauges back behind here. Boom. Okay, you know you're gonna have that the other side. And then this is going to maybe get a little double bubble. Okay, this is gonna come down. All right. Maybe there's a little bit of a form line there. And, okay, what do I know? What can I see here? Got this chassis, their motor mount or your battery pack mount in this instance, since this is an electric motorcycle. And let's figure out this shape. A little bit of a musculature line there. And then this is where it gets a little bit funky, or a little bit atypical as far as the frame is concerned. Kick this down, kick this up, boom, and then just give that a little bit more of an intentional shape. Got them some thickness here, and then we've got this, we'll call it not necessarily a brush guard, but a underbody protector. There is definitely like a technical term for this. Skid plate, there we go. Thank you. Yes, an underbody protector. Okay. Maybe there's some little details in there. Okay. And then I've kind of left out this front wheel. And it's funny, maybe I should have started from the back, because my line work at the front here was kind of scratchy, because I was just still getting acquainted with the pen and how it reacts versus the marker. So I was still a little unsure of how to make the marks. I mean, not that it's my first time, or it isn't my first time using this pen, but there's always, at least for me it seems, a moment or two where you're getting adjusted to a new tool. And I suppose as you sketch more and more, that transition period is shortened, right? Shortens, gets tighter, and you can switch between mediums and tool types really quickly with limited disruption from commercials. This is just a kind of a large, simple surface, which could be good, but I don't know if it really speaks to everything else. Again, this is the first sketch of what could be and will be many as we start to think about what does the Postmates delivery motorcycle look like. I don't know, but this is the first of a series of ideation sketches, and that's really just what you're doing. You're looking for ideas, you're looking for themes, looking for stuff that is interesting that you maybe haven't seen before. And I mean, that's the purpose of ideation, right? You're really just looking, searching. It's kind of like an adventure. What are those books, Goosebumps? I don't know if you guys and gals are old enough to remember Goosebumps, but there were some of them where you could choose your own adventure, or like choose your own ending, if you will. And those were always kind of cool. And oh, I have a Topo. If you've never drank Topo, I don't recommend you start, because they are kind of delicious. Get the kind of the lime twist. Oof. Yeah, on point. Delicious. Okay. And, oh, right, so the choose your own adventure, the goosebumps, it's kind of what ideation sketching is like. You are making decisions and choices and changing your mind as you go through and discover new parts of the design, and it's all part of the process. And then as you go through a bunch of different sketches, right, for whatever your project is, you start to see themes and ideas that work better than others, or that seem fresher, or that relate to each other more clearly. And then you build your concept around those ideas that work well, that have more of a holistic look. So right now there's a bunch of different ideas here, different types of forms. Like all these lines, they're kind of random right now, right? This kind of just ducks down and then this kicks back up. There's no real rhyme or reason, which we'd want to adjust, and we will adjust as we do more sketches on this particular concept. Because we want the lines to speak with one another. So if you got this line that's seemingly random, that's diagonal, let's pick that up over here. Maybe let's give it a bit of a purpose. It ties into that tail section, and the tail section kicks back out and kicks up. Which, okay, so now that starts to be a more meaningful theme. And then this line, okay, tie that into the seat. We want the parts to all have a relationship with one another. Right, you don't want all these disparate pieces and parts that don't visually share anything. All right, so we've got this seat here. This is going to be kind of a soft radius. All right, we want this thing to be real, again, light on the buttocks. And the seat's gonna tie into this tank, and then the tank is, boom, right, your core of this pseudo cylinder is gonna run to where the edge, to where this radius on the seat is. So you have this kind of continuity. And then, all right, your tank kicks up. So this surface kicks in, right? So you got your head stock or whatever they call it, tucked back here. And then, I don't really have a mount point. Oh, we're just gonna make up a mount point for these. Okay, so now your pegs are mounted to your motor. I don't know if that's a good idea. Might not be. Might be. But for now, that's what we've got. So this motor's just kind of a cylinder. Let's add some more detail there. Now, the one thing I will say about working with this kind of pen, or in this fashion, it leads to a very particular look, right? It's not a, you can get pretty subtle with the marker. You can get nice bleeds and blends, but it generally seems to feel and look maybe a little bit more simple, because you're not getting in there and shading each section the same way you might with a Prismacolor. Right, so the level of realism is maybe slightly, it's like one step removed from what you might be able to achieve with a more traditional medium like a charcoal or a Prismacolor, which is basically just like a pencil. And I'll put links to all the supplies that I'm using here today and to some other ones that you might find interesting in the description. They're all affiliate links. They don't cost you anything to click, but they do help to support this channel. I'd like to be making more of these videos more consistently, and that definitely helps to unlock some of that. So here we are. So this, I feel like this is a nice addition. This little line here, so you're kind of tucking that pizza box on top of this seat. So now those forms work with each other a little bit more. Whereas before, the pizza box was just kind of sitting on top of this, but now it's set inside of it, which feels a bit more appropriate. All right, and you've got your front brake disc. You've already got your caliber kind of sketched in there. Nope, jack that line up. That's all right. We're gonna keep rolling. Boom, boom. What can we do to make this more interesting? Maybe maybe this will be so you've got this kind of rectangular cutout here. Maybe there's a similar rectangular cutout down here on this front fender. Which maybe this is a 2-piece or even a 3-piece fender. All right, you've got 1, 2, maybe it's 3 pieces. And then what do we have here? And we're just gonna add some air cooling on this battery pack, and there's all kinds of electronics that might be tucked away in there. And then on the front, there's going to be little air inlets, like so. It's kind of a perforated pattern, a bit of a grill to minimize the amount of crap that flies into whatever this intake, whatever purpose it might serve. You don't want a bunch of stuff flying in there, like debris and whatnot. It also has to be water resistant, so there's something else to think about. The rims themselves, ooh, we can't really see much, but I'm just going to hint that maybe they are spoke. That'd be a little different. Boom. Spoke, hope you can all spoke. Boom. And this swing arm's a little bit basic. We'd probably want to show that thing some more love. This is gonna kick out. It's gonna kick down. Then you've got your suspension kind of tucked back here. We'll just gesture at that. You might not be able to see a whole lot of it here. And then this is gonna kick out. Maybe speak to, so this shape here, this shape here, and this shape here, they all kind of, they're starting to work together. So that might become something that we add more of in future iterations. So now that we've got all that marker laid down, I am going to come in with a C4 and start to block in the sections that I know are a bit darker. Right, so these are going to be sections that are facing forward or facing down. And switching back to the 2. So we're going to have this 2, this thing start to roll away from the light. Right, so your top surfaces are going to be light, assuming that the sun is above you or your lighting is above you. And then things that are on the side are going to be a little bit darker value, right? We're thinking in 1, 2s, and 3s. A light value, a medium value, and then a darker value, right? And then in between, as you really get into the more subtle or more intricate rendering, I mean, you've got a bunch of values that are in between all those values as well, right? That's how you get levels of realism in your sketches. But for this, we're just going to use a few simple colors here, or a few simple values. All right, the 2, the 4, and these cool gray 6 markers specifically are the ones that I'm going to use. Okay, maybe this is facing up. Okay, this will be in shadow. Most of this will be in shadow. This side, oh, this side. Bottom part of your wheels in shadow. Okay. Get that core down there. This, these are facing down. Side surfaces. Okay. So that's most of our two. Now that that's kind of, I'll call it to say it's moist there, we can get in and start to add some more cores. Surfaces that are facing down. Punch these out, and then maybe there's a core through here. All this section is going to be tucked away in shadow. Have a little shadow underneath the front fairing, right, to show that it's sitting above the tire. And for this tire, let's come in here with the C2. Kind of get that maybe a little bit wet. And then we'll come in here with the 4 to get a bit more of a fade on that tire. Instead of having the really hard line between those two colors, or between those two values. The 4 is a little bit dry, as you can see, so that's kind of unfortunate. So is this too. I might need to fill these all up. And then let's come back over this with the 6. Just a little bit of the 6 in the shadow. To get that extra bit of contrast. And then we'll come back over it with the 4 while it's still wet so that we can bleed it in or blend it in a little bit and get a nice smooth transition. Now what this is C4. Make sure you put the right cap on the right marker. That's how people get jacked up. Just the other day I was doing a sketch and I put the 6 cap on the 2 marker. You can imagine that when I went to go use the 2, right in the middle of my sketch, I was a little disappointed to find out that it was significantly darker than I wanted that value to be. So that particular sketch had a little bit different look than I intended. So long story short, double check what marker you're putting your cap on. And maybe test them on a piece of paper, if you're unsure, next to your sketch instead of on your sketch, right? That might be a good general practice. Got the 4 over here. I want this seat to be a little bit darker. Then, where's that C2? Let's get that C2 going. Because usually the seats are darker rubber or darker plastic, some kind of synthetic. If you've ever looked at a motorcycle, you may have noticed that, unless people have some kind of fun ostrich, or not that I condone using real animal leather. You better watch out nowadays. Hold the markers as C6 or exotic animal leather. But people do it, that's all I'm saying. People are still out there doing it. So you might see some of that on your bike. Not super sustainable though if this was a production piece, and probably not really that cost effective to put ostrich on your Postmates delivery. Ostrich leather on your Postmates delivery bike. But hey, listen, do you, right? Nobody else is gonna do it, so you might as well do you. Oh my God, what does that even mean? I have no idea. I'm just sketching here and chatting away. Leave a comment, let me know what else you'd like to see, or if any of this stuff that I'm kind of jabbing about doesn't make sense and you'd like me to explain a bit more. Happy to make videos that go a little bit more in depth around a specific part of this process. If there's any particular kind of bike you'd like to see me draw, or have any specific questions, whatever, just drop a comment. We can have a conversation and And I'm trying to figure out how to do the Discord thing, so I'll put a link to the Discord server for this channel in the description, and we'll figure that out together. Right? I've never really built a Discord, so your help, if you are a pro, would be greatly appreciated. So I'm using the C6 now to just set some things back in shadow to make sure that we're getting a nice read between the different elements, right? Because, for example, behind the forks is a little bit darker, so that we know that the forks are sitting off of the body. All right, and then we're dropping a little shadow here with the C4 over top of this fender, showing the light's kind of coming from the side, but above and from the side, so you'd get a nice little shadow cast. Although that would change our ground shadow, but listen, we're not gonna get too picky here. And adding a couple more sections where I think the body could be tucking in. And what you'll notice here is that I'm not putting too many dark values on the back. So what that does is creates this vignette where it goes from dark to a little bit lighter, which is a nice effect. Gives it a little bit more drama, kind of hints at a bit of atmospheric perspective. Again, in real life, you might not see that kind of atmospheric perspective or vignetting on something as small as a motorcycle, but in a sketch, it adds a nice level of drama and interest. Get your brake pads. I mean, you could do a whole sketch series just on calipers. I mean, have you ever seen some calipers? They are wild. Little Brembo brake, super highly engineered. Beautiful pieces of machinery though. And just gonna come through, put a couple extra highlights. Okay. I don't know. I think that's a good start for our Postmates delivery motorcycle. All right, listen, I hope that you found this somewhat interesting, not a complete bore to watch and listen to, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think, what you'd like to see, and we will be continuing to sketch. Okay, let's put a little perspective lines, add some technical finish. In case you don't know what direction it's going. Boom. All right, cool, that's it. I'm gonna get aero crazy over here. Oh, we're doing it. We did it. All right.